Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Ayers, and you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture. And yes, I am hard to kill. And before I introduce my guest, I do want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by Pocket Jack Comics, who have books like Palace of the Golden Princess and White Lily. And you can find their books at pocketjackcomics.com. Awesome books, a lot of female empowerment, beautiful art. Preston Bolter is a good friend of mine, so go check that out. Also, you still might be able to find it in some comic shops. And I do not think you will be disappointed with those books because they are quite honestly beautiful books, and there's some really fun stuff in those books that can get a little risque, for lack of a better word here. But enough about that, because I have with me comic creator Fred Schwartz. So welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. I have nothing to complain about, minus every other problem in the world that's going on. But beyond that, we're all good. But obviously you got a lot going on. You got a Kickstarter that I think is fully funded, or at least 92%, around that number.
92, yeah, we're very close. I believe last I checked, we were like 140 away. So everybody out there, let's see if we can do something about that today. It would be wonderful to get that bag of rocks off my back and start looking forward towards stretch goals. I've been working on some of those today, and I think we got some cool stuff in store.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that because I got a lot of questions. But obviously, you have a Kickstarter, Fisticuffs, and book 1 and book 2. So obviously, there's 2 issues, which helps in a lot of ways. But before we get into that, why don't you introduce yourself? Because there's people who know you from your last Kickstarter. There's probably people who know you on the social media. There's probably some people who've seen you at cons. But there's also people who say, hey, who is this guy here, and everything else. So before we get into your book, I kind of want to give everybody a little context.
Absolutely. My name is Fred Schwartz. I am a 42-year-old comic creator, breaking into the industry finally at this point in time in my life. I live in Florida at the moment, originally from Hamilton, New Jersey. And the book that I am releasing to the world right now is called Fisticuffs. It is about a functional drunk whose comfortable life is derailed when a one-night stand has deadly consequences. It is drawn by the phenomenal Staniak, colored by the amazing Robert Nugent, and the letters and logo are done by Dave Sharp. They look wonderful as well. I couldn't be more proud of this book. It's been with me for some 20 years now, and to finally get it out into the world and see some of the feedback has been wonderful. So I'm excited to be here and continue to talk about that today.
So let's get into it now, because obviously it's an interesting book. I read issue 1. I enjoy elements of this book. Obviously, there's some fuckery that's going on, for lack of a better word. In this book, my favorite word, my favorite word is that word. So perfect right there. But anyway, where did this idea even come from? Because obviously you have somebody who kind of this is the way, and correct me if I'm wrong here, my interpretation of it is got somebody who is kind of okay with being drunk, intoxicated, wants a low-stake life, low rewards, isn't asking for much, enjoys getting a little messed up here and there, but really isn't difficult in society. I mean, he's not dysfunctional, in my opinion. He's just wanting to kind of run low stakes, low rewards type of life and just skate by and enjoy life the way he's enjoying it. And shit is the fan. So, like, where did this idea come from? Because it's interesting where we get into this stuff, because we all been there.
Yes, absolutely. So it's kind of hard to talk about while avoiding spoilers. I'm going to do my very best to do it. But from a character point of view, I very much identified with this character. Like I said, I started writing this when I was in college, some 20 years ago. And I was working on 2 projects at the time. One was kind of like in the style of like American Pie, Kevin Smith, kind of like just a straight up comedy, vulgar and all that stuff. Believe it or not, this was like my sane story. This was like the personal one. This was the one that I was like, if I was ever going to win an Oscar or like a legitimate award one day, this was going to be it. I don't think that ship is going to come into the port at this point. But from a character point of view, I did want to kind of do this take on a character that, like you said, is comfortable to live a low stakes life, but you can't get away with that for too long. There's a line in a movie I liked called Moneyball, where they talk to Billy Bean and they say, everybody gets called to the adult table sometime. It's either when you're 15, some of us get the call when we're 50, but we eventually get that call. And this is about what happens when you can't live a low stakes life anymore. When you think that, like, when you think that you're not hurting anybody, but you don't realize like maybe you're playing with more fire than you realize. So it's a heavy allegorical story about a character that is on the surface not flawed, or maybe is flawed, but like isn't broken in the way that you described, right? He doesn't seem that way, but that doesn't mean there's.
I'll throw something out there because it's appropriate. And I don't think the person I'm going to mind is going to say it. I don't think you're going to mind me saying it. So, Granite State Punk, Zeke is way more broken on the surface.
Yeah,
and I love Travis. Travis has been good to me.
I love Travis too. Yeah, he's been really good to me. And it's funny you mentioned I was going to bring him up just a second ago because you mentioned your love of the term fuckery, and I was thinking of like his latest.
But I'm not a fan of Cthulhu. No, I'm just fucking with Travis. It's so much fun to fuck with Travis that way. But anyway.
But I'm saying his latest book and his latest Granite State Punk, I believe he opens with like a flashback to the Revolutionary War with like Paul Revere, and he's writing and he's like, the British are committing fuckery. So he uses your favorite word in that way. And I remember that was when I was sold on that.
For those who don't know, fuckery is a wrestling term. And fuckery is referring in wrestling to massive carnage, usually involving light tubes. That is the appropriate definition.
Really, that's actually what fuckery is specifically.
It's and then also a commentary. They say I have fuckery on tap. Is also a very famous line from ICW and GCW. Is I have.
I was gonna say I consider myself a smark, and I didn't know that. So that's I just learned something today.
That's where fuckery became really, really big.
Gotcha. Okay.
So for those who don't know that's where it became huge, and it's a wrestling thing. It's not everybody else. But anyway, continue because the reason why I bring this up though is that because this character is not Zeke.
No.
Up on the surface, but there's shit going on. But it's also different than Granite State Punk because this is not the same book. It's also a very different element where obviously. So what is that like too? Because that's where it's so interesting. He has a one night stand. He kind of gets powers, and then he has to deal with his inner demons with his powers, and then what to use them, not to use them to deal with his problems, and then I don't even know if he's really dealing with his problems or if this is in his head a little bit. It's a little messy. It's a little messy. Again, I'm not ruining hopefully too much, and if I am, well, I'm sorry everybody, but this is where this gets so interesting, right? Is that we have a lot of stuff going on here because. It's kind of like, great. Is he trying to deal with this? And is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Or is it worse? Or resentment? Or is he being forced to grow up? Because there's a lot of shit here in this entire book.
Well, that's kind of the joy of it, right? And I can assure you right now that all those threads and things that you mentioned are all conscious and they all bundle up together by the end of the thing, right? But getting very nerdy here. Are you familiar with the term like a topiary? Like, what a topiary is?
A topiary?
Yes. Again, and this is my understanding of the term. I only understood this from a screenplay I read recently. So I believe a topiary.
I don't know the word. I don't know.
A topiary, as I understand it, is like a tree that is growing out of the ground and you prune it as it grows. So you don't fully understand what the tree completely looks like until it's fully grown. It's kind of like a style of I guess pruning or whatever it is, right? So that's kind of how I look.
So to put this in wrestling terms, we did not understand the John Cena arc until Elimination Chamber at the end of it.
Exactly. You're gonna. So again, and we're gonna, and I swear to God, if we get off on a wrestling tangent, we are never gonna get back onto it. But because we were just talking about wrestling before we started the show.
It was just too good. It was just too good, everybody.
But you're 100% right. That is when and also let me actually bring up one more point about Fisticuffs that I've been told that I don't stress enough. Right, is that it's a 6-issue miniseries and all 6 issues are complete in terms of being drawn. We just have to letter and color the remaining issues. So it's intended to be.
We're going to talk about that too because I'm glad you brought that up. But I want to table that side of that because I think that's actually a more business decision, to be honest.
Yes.
I have to do business at the end of my podcast.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, no, but it's a good point. But I want to get back on track with this tree you were speaking about because I think it's so interesting because, again, obviously, I mean, the best stories is that you don't know what's going to happen when it's going to happen, right? Like the plot twist swings out, right? You know, I'm trying to think of something that was like that. Shutter Island is a good example of that. You didn't know how Shutter Island was going to end until it ended, right?
Right.
And if you haven't seen Shutter Island or read it, great book. Was it Dennis Lane, I think, did Shutter Island, if I'm not mistaken?
The movie or the book?
The book.
I
DiCaprio, what was the star?
yeah.
Because what is that like? Because obviously, I mean, you want it to be something that when you re-witness it and reanalyze it and deal with it, that it's something interesting, right? I mean, I don't know how to say
Yeah.
this any other way.
Well, yeah. So the goal is, and I think I hope we achieve, and I think we're going to, right? Is that as soon as you read the conclusion of book 6, like I want somebody to like go back and pick up 1 again and kind of like re-understand everything, because it's funny. The John Cena thing was actually a pretty good analogy, right? It's like you go back and you look, and like all the little seeds were planted along the way. So that's the goal, right? Is that like, you know, when you get to the end and you see how all the dots connect, then you want to go back and like understand that. Like, I don't like to think of like Fisticuffs as being like a real like a twist oriented thing. It just unfolds, and when you unfold it and you understand everything, I hope you're able to appreciate everything like back. So there's and that's kind of like the fun part of it, right? Is that like, even though it's like, you know, it is kind of like a very thoughtful piece, it is still very like fun and you know, has, you know, lots of like vulgar, violent, you know, really kind of like over the top shit that like, you know, again, this is again getting a bit nerdy perhaps, but you know, I one of the ways I described Fisticuffs, you know, to people was elevated smut. Like when you like, think of the way when you go to like a restaurant, right? And you like a fancy restaurant and you order like a burger and you get like the Wagyu beef and the truffle oil on the brioche bun and shit. It's still a burger. It's just like a fancier one, right? So like, I want the story to be like.
Have you seen Hell's Kitchen?
Yes.
My favorite episodes of Hell's Kitchen is when Gordon Ramsay says, I want you to make me a burger, but make it gourmet and make it expensive and elevate it. And he's like, this is my burger, and I charge $210 on my menu for it. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not going to lie. I had a McDonald's hamburger like last week, and it was pretty damn good.
And it's like $1 for the second one now. So you can't beat the McDonald's deal right now.
The Angel Reese special, and I'm an Angel Reese mark. But that's not the point here. Oh, my God. I love it. I love Angel Reese. I think she's a better player than Caitlin Clark. That's a hot take, everybody. That's a hot take. It could also be that I'm heavily invested in her, but that's not the point either. Not romantically, but it could happen. I mean, I'll put a ring on that all day. But not the point. I mean, just because she can't shoot a 3 doesn't mean that she's not a good player. I want to make that crystal clear here, everybody. Not everybody has to have a 3-point record in Iowa. It's all right. There could be other good players too in the league. Just look at The Miz in WWE. It's all right.
Oh, The Miz.
He's a Hall of Famer.
He's gonna be. And like, honestly, the thing that I like the most about The Miz, even though like I feel like his character
is his wife.
Hasn't changed.
I'm sorry, that was too easy.
I was gonna give him credit for his. Stop it, buddy. I was gonna give him credit for his perseverance, right? Because like nobody wanted him there when he started out. Like, you know, the legends of him being kicked out of the locker room and bullied and like, you know, whatever. And like,
and it wasn't until the Undertaker said you could come back in.
Really? The Undertaker was the one that brought him back in?
Undertaker brought him back in, and nobody gave him shit ever again.
I mean, I love the legends of the Undertaker in the locker room. Like, Wrestler's Court is some of my favorite stories. Like, you know, where he sentences people to pay people off with beers and things of that nature. Like, feels very Undertaker to me.
No. But getting back to your book, right?
Yes.
So obviously, I mean, I read it. I have an idea where it's going. I get that we're going to be dealing with a lot of crazy shit, and so obviously, I don't want to ruin too much here. But what is this like? Because you used the phrase like elevated smut, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, I know when something is well done, right? And I'll drop something that's old school, that's wrestling related, because everything's wrestling related. a good version of elevated smut is hotel erotica. And if you don't know what hotel erotica is, Candice Michelle was on that, and really
I
interesting.
don't. I don't know what that is.
I don't know how to explain it, right? And I'm trying to explain it best. So it's a well shot, pornographic but not pornographic HBO thing.
Okay.
Like that was like 6 episodes, and it's legitimately the definition of elevated smut, right?
Okay.
Because it's well done, well shot, high quality. There's story, there's a lot of stuff in there, but it's also still smut. And
Yeah.
so I find this interesting because there is something to be said about doing that well. And look, I love Pat Chan, but Cheeky Comics is adult. It's definitely 18 plus. I'm not saying your book's not 18 plus, but I don't
It
view
is.
your book as cheeky comics, right?
Well,
I don't view it as, trying to think of something with Pat Chan that he just did, Private Dancer or Private
mhm.
Dance, right? That to me, Sunstone's another one, right?
Mhm.
Sunstone's another one where that's adult comics. Like this is not that same vein, but it's definitely got elements of it. And I think there's something to be said about doing elements of that, but also not going deep overboard because I've seen that too,
Mhm.
and I'll be honest, half of it's good and half of it's bad, and it's
Well,
rough in comics.
well, honestly, I got a comp in a review recently comparing us to Pat Chan, and I was like thrilled. That was like flat. It was like so flattering, and like I was over the moon to get that comp, man, because Pat is phenomenal, and like he's living the
Oh, he's great.
Kickstarter
He's
comic
great.
stream right now, and he's so talented. Like like that comp, like But
I
I
love
think
Pat
where
Chan.
I think where you're going with this, right, is like and it's kind of like of the in the vein of like the stories that like I kind of I don't want to say like emulated, right? But like I would say like it's very much like I grew up, when I grew up, it was like very, I grew up in the '90s. I think I had as I kind of was like a sheltered kid, but I think I still had this drive to be kind of like more adult, right? So like I would get that from like when my grandmother and I would like she would let me stay up late and we would watch like Tarantino movies, Tales from the Crypt, horror movies, like all that stuff, all that subversive content. And it's like, I remember somebody made I think it might have even been Ebert and Roper that made a comment about this, how like, or maybe not, because I don't think they liked it. Either way. But like, if you do like a slasher movie and like you approach it well and you think about it and, you approach it artfully, it's like Halloween. But like once Halloween comes out, like there's, a dearth of like, movies that, aren't like as thought out. So they just ratchet up the gore and horror and exploitation. And not that I'm not a huge fan of that, but it's so much more effective when you take the time to like, craft a story,
I'll
behind it.
give you an example. So I grew up. I was born in '93, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm like an anime kid, right?
Right.
I've been reading stuff that I should not have been reading. So like some of my first stuff is like Love Hina, I'm like 11.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading Love Hina, and I probably shouldn't have been reading that, right? I was watching Outlaw Star when I was like 8 or 9. Should not have
Mm-hmm.
been watching that, right? But also, I turned out fine. But also, once you get to something really gory, like Afro Samurai, I caught later, right? When I was more like 14, 15. Once you get to Afro Samurai, which is extremely gory, if you want to go to the next level, it starts having diminishing returns. And I think
Yeah.
that's where things get complicated because we look at a bunch of companies, and I don't mean to put any of them down, but like there's a bunch of companies that they have to keep raising up the elements of, I guess, gore, nudity, extremities. And I'm like, wait a second, like we're losing a lot of story here. And
Mm-hmm.
at least in this issue, I don't feel that in your first book that we get a little bit of that in there, but we don't lose at least a core story element, right?
Thank you.
Still some
Thank you.
guidance, right? Like it's kind of like you have the bumpers on in bowling, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
going to hit pins. And I don't mean that as like to be dismissive, but you're not throwing a gutter ball. But like I look at other books and I'm like, there's some gutter stuff, like balls being thrown deep here. And I think it's a real problem in comics because I get that people want to see extreme nudity, but there's also lack of story now. And this is where I think it's so interesting, right?
Well,
Is
thank
that
you.
book.
I'm glad that it, that Fisticuffs kind of feels different, but that's, I think too, that's like a matter of taste, because I've had people that like have read, my book and, thought it was, the, not artistic or whatever you want to call it and stuff, and it's a matter of taste, and you just got like, part of it is like, as a creator, like I just kind of learned to like accept that, and accept that, like, I think we were talking earlier, like I'm not gonna try to convince anybody, like, if you don't like, something about the book, cool, like it's not for me to, like, I don't have to be right, like somebody else will like it, right? So I think that's just kind of like something that like I had to learn to be comfortable with, is like, just let it be what it is and do it for the right reasons.
Let's actually talk about that too, because I think that's interesting, right? So there are people who do not like what I do on my show.
Okay.
There are people who hate my show. There are people who said very mean things about my show. And this is my response to all of that. If you don't like a person I interview, because whether it's political, you don't like them, you just have a personal beef with them, because let's be realistic, people have problems and conflicts with each other, or you don't like anime, you don't like voice actors, you don't like wrestling, you don't like adult stuff, then don't watch that interview or don't watch my show, right? Because I can't please everybody. Or there's people who hate each other, and I've had legitimately them on back to back, and I'm like, I'm sorry that you don't like this person. If you don't want to ever come on my show again, I don't know what to tell you. There are people who've had business issues with each other, who they used to work together and now they don't. And I'm like, well, I'm still friends with both of you. I'm just never going to have both of you on at the same time. And if you have a problem with me interviewing who I'm going to interview and asking whatever questions I want to ask, well, that's on you, because I can't please everybody. So like, what is that like? Because I think that's also a problem, or maybe it's not a problem, but like, I think at a certain point you have to come to the realization, if you're creating anything, that there's going to be people who say, I hate what you do, or I don't like it, or it's not my cup of tea. And hopefully you have a good enough idea or enough of a fan base, or like me, I just don't care if you like me or you don't, and I'm going to continue to do it and hope for the best. It has to be one of those three, right? I mean, so like, and I think that's a big problem too, is that you're not going to be able to please everybody.
And I'm somebody that like grew up, and to some degree still am, like, incredibly self-conscious, right? I think we all have that like desire to be like liked or, appreciated or whatever it is. But like at a certain point, like you got to realize like, I'm this person, right? And like, if like, like you can, there's something to be said for trying to be like, get along and be like cordial with people and stuff like that. But at a certain point, like if you start like kind of changing, who you are, like then you've lost already, then they're not, so again, I'm just happy now that like, to put this book out and like let the people that like it find it and enjoy it.
You mentioned something, and I'm curious about this as well, is that I agree in which I wouldn't even call it cordial personally. I'll call it professionalism, right? So I try to be as professional as I possibly can in situations. So if I'm in the room with somebody I have issues with, but I'm a guest on somebody's show and so are they, I'm going to be respectful of the show, unless they start personally attacking me, then all bets are off, because it's just the rules of war. It's one of my favorite books is Brett Easton Anderson, or Brett Anderson Easton. I forget. He wrote Rules of Attraction, and it's a step off of that book, this idea. But I show people as much courtesy as they show me, and so I am professional to the degree that you show me professionalism. I don't know if it's cordial, right? Because you're not going to change my beliefs on something. Right. So, for instance, I find, and I'm very open about this, I find that full nudity on a comic cover is the weirdest thing in the world. I find that it's off-putting, to be quite honest.
Okay.
I don't need to see a woman's private parts or a dick on a comic cover. No offense. I can go on Google and see the real thing if I wanted to. Like, I don't need to buy it either, because I could get it relatively cheaply or free for that matter. Like, I find it off-putting, and I've been very vocal about that. You're not going to change my opinion on that, and I'm not going to not state my professional opinion on that, even if that's your thing and you were the inventor of that concept, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you not to do it, but like, I think it's interesting because, again, I don't know if it's cordial, right? I just think there's professionalism, and I think there's lack of professionalism. And that's where I think this gets so complicated. I think everybody is just making things so much more complicated.
Well, I mean, I'll take. I was talking about, like, you know, just in general, right? Because, like, I mean, you know, like, definitely professionalism in a professional setting. But, like, I'll give you an example. Cordial or. So, I went to a comic book graphic novel club recently, right? I go from time to time, and they were doing Daredevil Born Again, which is my favorite comic of all time, right? Like, I absolutely loved it. Like, I've read that comic probably more times than any book ever. Frank was a huge inspiration on me, you know, when I met him, and, you know, he kind of, like, that was one of the biggest, you know, days of my life. Like, you know, it was, anyway. So I sit down there, and, like, you know, it's like, you know, 6 or 7 people. It's pretty much all strangers, nobody I know. So we're sitting there waiting for the thing to start, and you know, I just blurt out, I'm like, man, I am so excited for this because this is, like, my favorite comic ever. And, like, all the young kids kind of looked at me with, like, eyes, and they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, you guys don't. And the one girl was like, oh, I couldn't get through it, like, all this stuff about, you know, using, abused women as plot devices, and she didn't, you know, appreciate that. Another person was like, well, this is a problematic definition of a problematic fave for me. And, like, all this stuff, like, mortified me because I was, like, so confident. But at the end of the day, like, cordial respect, like, I don't have to try to convince anybody else. And, like, I don't necessarily, even though I love Born Again, I don't necessarily disagree with them. Like, if they feel like Karen's story read as, like, exploitative, that's fine. I didn't gravitate towards that element of the story. I gravitated towards the way, you know, you watch a character that I love fall apart and pick himself back up again. When I was in my 20s and I made mistakes over and over again, that was the story that made me feel good about myself again, and, like, kind of whatever. So, you know, I have a very strong opinion on that. But I'm totally cool respecting other people's and appreciating their opinion as different from mine, and not feeling the need to be like, you know, defend the book or Frank or Karen Page. Like, it's what it is. And I can love something and for those reasons and still be okay with it. Same thing with, like, you know, stuff created by problematic artists. There are some artists that, me personally, I'm not going to make a list of who I did. There's some that, like, you know, what they've done, I just don't want to enjoy their stuff anymore. I can't, or whatever. But most, you know, people and stuff, like, you know, there's some that I can appreciate the work for. It's just a case by case thing, and it's, you just take it for what it is, and I try to be cordial.
I can separate those. See. It's funny you mentioned about problematic artists, musicians, people. I can separate music and artists from people, right? It's very hard when somebody is tied together with me because I can separate a product from a person.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll give an example, right? And I might get shit for this. American Beauty. I love American Beauty as a movie. I love House of Cards with Kevin Spacey. Now, Kevin Spacey obviously is a very controversial figure, and supposedly he has problems, and there's things that have come out. And, you know, but I can say American Beauty is an amazing movie, or Kaiser Sose, you know, The Usual Suspects, right? Is the movie brilliant what he does in that movie. So I can separate the skill of somebody and what they've done. Same thing with, you know, Ric Flair. If we want to go back to wrestling, I mean, the plane ride from hell. I mean, what are we fucking kidding ourselves? Ric Flair is not a great person. I mean, Ric Flair, though, is one of the best wrestlers ever in society, and will be, and is amazing, right? So I can separate. Hulk Hogan's another good example. Hulk Hogan is instrumental to wrestling, but Hulk Hogan is a massive problem. Massive problem.
It's funny. Two of the 3 people you mentioned there are just people. Actually, no, I'll take that back. 2 of the 3 people there, I can still enjoy their work. One of them, I'll be honest, I don't like to name names, but this Kevin Spacey's never going to care. I personally can't enjoy Kevin Spacey work anymore. I've just heard the stories, that from what I've heard of them, and I find like something like American Beauty, where you're supposed to be rooting for him. I find that hard to enjoy anymore. I can still watch Seven, but that's that's whatever. I never saw House of Cards, so I can't weigh in on that. But like American Beauty, I struggle with. I find it hard to find him as like somebody I'm rooting for, kind of knowing what was probably going on.
I'll convince you about American Beauty, right? The reason why I like American Beauty is American Beauty is great because we get the serious elements of it, we get the comedic elements in there, and I just think it's such a skill what he's done.
It's a fantastic movie. I loved it for years. I just don't watch it anymore, and it's not like I have a grudge against it, or like I don't go to bed at night like cursing Kevin Spacey for ruining it for me. I just don't go back to it because I don't really want to enjoy this dude right now, and like life's long, opinions change. Hulk Hogan, I'm not a huge fan of as a human being at all. But I can still go back and enjoy like his matches because of like what they meant to me when I was young, and because of like that time period. But I just, as a person, I can't.
Like the Hulk Hogan for me is just odd. Where I wasn't a Hulk guy. Like I came into wrestling late. I came into wrestling when I was like in high school. So like John Cena is like the guy. Like I came in and John Cena was facing Edge. So I came in during that era. So I came into wrestling really late. And so, like, the people who I like are there. And then you go a little bit back. But, like, like John Cena and that stuff. Like, the Hardys, Jeff Hardy's single run. And then I went through an Impact run. And then, all these people on Impact who came over to WWE, like Karrion Kross. I was interacting with a lot on Twitter.
I love Karrion Kross. My friends used to tell me that I looked like Karrion Kross. And when I had hair.
That guy is savage. He understands Twitter so well. So
he's somebody that I want them to get right because he's got a lot of potential.
He's so good. He's so good.
And his impressions are phenomenal, by the way. If you ever seen him do Jesse Ventura, perfect.
I want him and Braun Breaker intercontinental title matches.
Now, I love Braun Breaker. I mean,
I don't know.
Gun to my
that just feels like he's just like related to a Steiner. I don't get it.
He is.
That's the joke.
Okay, Jesus Christ. You scared me for a second. I'm like, this dude seems sharp all through the interview. And I'm like, he knows that, right? I was just going to say, the Steiner brothers are probably...
I'm so sorry. It was too easy. It's like I make this joke almost every Friday night. Like my co-host says, why don't they just call him Braun Steiner?
Yeah.
Like that's my co-host's joke every Friday night. So one night, instead of before he said, I said, this guy looks really good. The unfortunate is that he's just not a Steiner. And my co-host just started breaking out of laughter because it was just so timed beautifully. But,
I have like right over there the Braun Breaker action figure, and it's the one that I got, the one with where he's actually wearing the old Rick Steiner tights with the numbers on them.
So you see, I'm so pissed because I before Cora Jade got signed, I was trying to get an interview with her as Elena Black, and then obviously they're dating. And I love Cora Jade. Cora Jade is great.
She is. Her friend is so much better though. Like I feel like she gets lost because God, Roxanne is good, man. She's gonna be like a mega star.
To interview her too, and I blew that as Roxy.
Yeah.
Oh man,
she's so good, man. She's got a bright future. I hope. Honestly, I was pulling for her to win the Rumble. I wanted her to win the Elimination Chamber. I've always, as a long-time wrestling fan, I always love that like rocket, like nuclear push they give when it's like somebody that's.
She should have won. I'll tell you why. In which Charlotte Flair wins, and this is how you know it's bad, right? So I sell a lot of cards. Those Charlotte Flair cards that I have, they're just not moving, and they're like worthless. So I have a limited 10 parallel Charlotte Flair card. Mm-hmm. It's like it should be if it was Roxanne Perez. The Roxanne Perez limited 50, and I have 2 of those. And then now you're convincing me to keep my second 50 of that. So thanks, man. It cost me $45. So this is your fault. So I was about to list it after this interview. So what it is though is that the Charlotte Flair limited 10 is selling for like $15 above the limited 50 of Roxanne Perez in my eBay store because nobody wants the Charlotte Flair. cards.
The problem with her is she's just not changed her gimmick for 10 years or 15 years, however long it's been. She's done nothing to freshen herself up, and it's like I don't care anymore. Like I'm kind of over her character.
You look at Bailey, she's changed. We look at
Becky.
Becky was the man. So Becky Lynch was this Irish lass kicker. Then it was in the background, and then she was the man, right? And that's Nia Jax in a lot of ways. Because Nia Jax busted her open, and then she came. She said, "I'm going to pay you back," and basically, I forget what it's called when you pay somebody back and give them
receipt.
A receipt, yes. So she gave Nia Jax.
I didn't know fuckery, but I got receipt. Damn it!
It took me a while. My favorite moment is when Randy Orton talks about when the Undertaker gave him a receipt. That was funny.
I love stories about young Randy Orton in the business. Like he
almost fucking died, which is crazy.
What?
You hear that one?
Which one?
That he almost died and he like pretty much overdosed.
Oh, I've heard he was, pretty bad. I mean, I don't know about like him almost dying, but I'm glad he didn't. I love Randy Orton.
He was like rushed to the hospital and he was overdosing as like a young wrestler in his like first year or like his first 18 months. Okay. Nobody knows this story. And then it came out in like a WWE documentary. It's like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
One more deep cut here, since you mentioned that about being rushed to the hospital. Did you ever see, it was called WrestleMania the movie? It was a bonus feature on the WrestleMania 20 DVD. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I watched WrestleMania 20 in the DVDs. I didn't even know this was a feature on it, but continue, please.
WrestleMania the movie. It's just a behind the scenes documentary of like all the things that were happening at WrestleMania 19, and it's insane. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin almost had like a heart attack the night before. He like went to the hospital and like still showed up to wrestle. They showed Brock Lesnar like behind the scenes after he almost killed himself with the shooting star press, like screaming at people, and like Shane McMahon's there trying to calm him down. Like it's insane, all the stuff that like you don't realize that goes on like up to the show. And it's crazy that they put that out on a DVD, like kind of aired their own dirty laundry like that. Like it was kind of crazy. But if you get a chance, if you ever find that DVD, it's a wonderful feature. I can't find it anymore.
Oh man, now I want to go find it. I want to go find the special. It's got to be somewhere. I mean, I just want the special. Like, but like it was like I think villains on like Peacock, and this is the Randy Orton episode. And he's talking about how he almost died and how he was like rushed to the hospital overdosing. It's like, oh my god, I gotta fucking stop this shit.
Do you know who the fourth? Do you know who the fourth member of Evolution originally was? I
have no idea.
It was like Mark Jindrak. And they actually have like footage of like when they did them in the limo, like walking towards the camera of like Flair, Triple H, Orton, and Jindrak. But the problem was Triple H said those two together, Jindrak and Orton, were like two fucking children that drove him nuts, and he couldn't put up with the two of them together. So they ultimately chose Orton and said Jindrak can fuck off, and they replaced him with Batista. So if you go back and look, there's actually footage of like the four of them walking from the Tron video, but like in the Tron video, they cut it off so it's only the three, so you can't see Jindrak. It's pretty crazy.
It's crazy. That's crazy. There's so much WWE stuff.
I could do WWE with you for days, sir. I love WWE.
I mean, Maven now has a comic coming out.
Who?
Maven.
Really?
Yes, he has a comic book coming out. My favorite wrestler right now, though, is Stevie Richards. I love Stevie Richards.
Wait, you said that right now in 2025?
Because his podcast is so good.
I always loved Stevie. I was an ECW guy. Big Stevie, cool, man. I loved him. I thought he was great.
He is my favorite wrestler because of his podcast. Because he is so honest and so good and explains so much about the business. And he makes it so that if you're brand new, know nothing about wrestling, you can understand how insane it is, this business. And it's great because he doesn't make you feel stupid, but he also gets you at a ground level and then brings you up in the same episode. And it's a real skill to make somebody who is brand new knows nothing about wrestling, and like this is what me and my friends do. So we watch the Big Four together. So we watch Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. Sometimes, because Survivor Series is complicated when it comes out, because Thanksgiving is always complicated.
Yeah,
so we
of course.
watch the main four, and they don't know anything about wrestling. But I'm like, hey, watch Stevie Richards or watch like Busted Open like a few days before, and you're gonna get an idea what the hell's going on.
Busted Open is Bubba Ray, right?
It's Bubba Ray, and then it's a few other people. So like Mark Henry comes on a lot, and a bunch of other people come on. But it's great.
I always like Bubba Ray too. I was always a fan of 3D or the Dudleys or whatever you wind up calling them now. But I thought they were a great team. I didn't know apparently they didn't like each other in real life. Is that true?
I don't know though, but I think they own like businesses together, which is crazy.
I heard that like that's what I heard was like that they could only like they only worked like in a business sense. They did not like each other. Again, I don't know. But that's what I heard was that they were not the best of friends, but beyond the business side of it, which is fine. Some teams function like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, look at our Truth in the Mist now.
My friends and I used to do that too, by the way. We would meet for the Big Four. We had a tradition that I absolutely loved. I miss in New Jersey. We used to do, it was called Crabber Slam, where, we'd boil crabs for SummerSlam and like do the show outside and stuff. It was a lot of fun. I miss those guys. Shout out to my friends, the Hossies out there. If they're not listening. They don't care.
My thing is that there's a game on Kickstarter. Get drunk while watching wrestling.
Oh, God.
And it's a card game, right? So they did. So this company, I think, did like football. I think they did baseball. Mm-hmm. I don't know what else they've done, but it's great. It's like a $25 Kickstarter for one card set, and it's great because everybody's got cards and there's like in-play cards. So if somebody else uses your wrestler's finisher, you'll have to take 5 sips. It's great. It sounds like such a fun game because the point of the game is to keep you engaged, but also to get you drunk with your friends.
Dude, you would have been shit-faced after like last night's cage match, man. That's all they did was like each other's finishes back and forth. Mm. That would have killed somebody, man. But yeah, it's great. You say like, that's really cool. Like, I love that like aspect of like, the event aspect of it. Like we used to have a thing that we used to do when, shit would get really crazy and stuff where we would like rate a move. And, like, I would take that bump. I would not take that bump, so.
That's wild. But I want to get back to your book.
Yes. We could do wrestling forever, but God, yes.
I mean, I have the WWE book. I have the book that there's 3 of them in the world. And I am not in my basement today because my foot's killing me. Mm-hmm. I had to work on my foot today, everybody, so I don't want to get into it. But they had to remove some calluses and some other stuff. But anyway, I have the wrestling book. It is the 4 Horsewomen, Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Bayley, and the Bella Twins, all signed on a graded comic book.
Really? That's really cool.
There's 3 of them in the world. It's WWE number 7, Women's Revolution, San Diego Comic-Con, and it's a very expensive book, to say the least. The way it was got, by the way, is that you had to buy the book, I think, at the Marvel booth. Mm-hmm. It was a boom book. And then Marvel, I think, was hosting the signing. And so then you were entered in, and of all the people who bought the book, then a bunch of people got those signatures for free.
I think I remember around that time that came out, that because you mentioned it was a Boom wrestling book, right? They had like connecting covers that formed a ring.
There was those 2 that the one for the Royal Rumble, and then
you had a special one that was for the con.
This one was at San Diego Comic-Con, and it was Women's Revolution.
Yeah,
so they had a female artist to the cover, and then they had all 6 of those women signing the book. But you had to enter an auction. You had to buy the book for like $25. And 3 people were smart enough to bring CGC to it. So there's only 3 of those books in existence.
That's cool,
man. They're all 9.8s.
That's awesome. That's
very
really cool.
Book. Very expensive book now. Yeah. The books that are not graded trade for like $1,700.
Okay.
So imagine what a grade.
Whoa. Jesus. What does grading actually like mark up by, you think? 3 times, 5 times, 10 times?
I think on that book, I think that book's like $3,500 easy. $35 to $4,000 because
But you're never gonna part with that because like that's like such a fucking story behind it that like you never want to.
I didn't get it. I bought it dirt cheap. I bought that book for $250 graded.
Really?
This is what happens. Let me explain. The market was soft, right? This is what people don't understand, right? The market was really, really soft, right?
Yeah.
So when the market was soft, I was having a shitty day and I was in a bad situation. I came to a little bit of money and then it was just raining and I was horrible. And so I came to the conclusion, hey, I got some money here. It's not all that much money. Person started off at 600. I bought my Sasha Banks and my Alexa Bliss from the same guy, too, all great signed books. And I just waited and I made an offer and he accepted. I said, well, I guess I got this book now.
Yeah.
I like what it's worth.
That's how collecting is. I mean, it's like sometimes you get, you know, like you said, soft market. Somebody's trying to unload some stuff and you get a deal. It's amazing.
I knew. I thought he was going to count me at 300. I would have taken 300. But you start low. You start at a number and then you work from there because I'll just get to know you got 4 more offers, right? I wasn't going to fight it over $50 because $50 in the long run doesn't mean jack shit. I also love the book, right?
Yeah.
Super cool, right? But that's why that book is cool because dirt cheap book, awesome story, and that book's not going down in value anytime soon. And I
like
get
you said, 3 of a kind, like that's insane. That's going to hold value for a while.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. But I love the book. It's the WWE book. There is nothing like it on the planet because you have 6 of the arguably the best women in wrestling history. Yeah. I mean, the only other 2 that are not on that book is Stratus and
Christian Lita. Yep.
That's it. I mean, and maybe, and obviously there's a few other women like the Fabulous Moolah. Those obviously, but you're not gonna get that because
they're dead. So you know.
Yes. Yeah. So, but my point remains the same, right? Super. But I do want to get back to your book because I think that's more fun. I want to dive into some of the business stuff. So you mentioned something that we tabled earlier that I think is interesting. Is the whole book's done?
Yeah.
So what is that like? Because I'll tell you a fear of mine, right? On indie comics and Kickstarter is that when somebody puts out an issue 1 or 2, is there going to be an issue 3? Because, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, but this shit's hard. Hard. It's exhausting. There's a million things that could go wrong. You're also pushing out every quarter, if at best, right? Every quarter or every 6 months. So maybe if you're lucky, you push out 4 books of a series a year, but more like 3 or 2 or even 1. So I don't know when somebody pushes out a 1 or 2, is there going to be an issue 3 here? Because how deep are you committed to a project is where I'm going with this. But if it's already done, you're committed, right? Yeah. So, and I think that's actually really, really important for people to understand. And so what was that like for you? Because that's a huge capital requirement. That's a huge amount of capital you have contributed, and you're now committed. I mean, there's something to be said when you have skin in the game.
Yeah. So my first comic, I didn't do a Kickstarter for. I didn't really
understand.
I didn't know. Yeah, I just didn't know what the comic industry. How people got stuff done, right? Like but all I knew was like I wanted to, do a comic, right? And the first comic I did was a book called Hard Body that is actually now completely rewritten and it will be redone hopefully after Fisticuffs is done. But I did 1 issue and I was like, okay, I'm going to put it out in the world and like see what happens. And a lot of stuff just happened in my life around that time that all kind of like kicked me in the teeth, and I didn't know what to do and where to go. Like I had a pet die, a car broke down completely. I didn't know where, all my plans of like going to the shops and building it organically and doing all that stuff kind of went away, and I didn't really know how to promote things online, and it just kind of dried up, and I didn't really want to do that again. right? Like there's nothing more demoralizing than doing a book that got some really good like feedback and stuff, but it was just one of those things where, I didn't
align. It didn't align.
Yeah, and it didn't click.
So, I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah,
I've been in situations where I just had an alignment go well, right? And then also I've been in situations where everything has just gone to shit.
Well, this book is 100% alignment going right? Like it was, I had some money, like, sold a bunch of stuff, had some stuff set aside to do a movie. COVID happens, and I was like, I wanted to do this comic, and I just kind of like I found Stan, which was like the greatest thing ever, right? Like, to find somebody that, elevated what I gave him, was so like sense of humor is like in sync, like, right mindset for this book. Like I couldn't have, there's like, if you told me like, hey, you can, like, there's just nobody in this world I can even imagine ever doing this book with again. I don't like, no hypothetical, nothing. Like Stan was like the perfect effing choice, which led to Robert, which led to Dave, and like everything just lined up. COVID happened, I had some people help me along the way, because money was not, people weren't going out and spending. People, it was just like train track. And the crazy thing about this project is it started 5 years ago. I think we've had the book drawn for like 2 years now, like completely. And it was just kind of a thing of two.
Right? There's a lot to break down.
So yeah, go ahead.
Well, one of the things is that, obviously I have a 9-to-5 job. And I think part of the reason why I was hired is that obviously I have a certification and I work in accessibility and I have that background, but also I fit into the team that's already assembled. And there's something to be said about fitting into a team. And with comics, and I was speaking to somebody 2 weeks ago about it, and he's a photographer and he does these shoots and with a bunch of cosplayers, really cool people like Faces by Rachie, Steph Sugar, really, really cool people.
I almost had her involved with Fisticuffs. I just met her at a con and we were in talks, but it didn't sync up. But Rachel's great. Faces by Rachie. Yeah, love her. Shout out.
I don't know her personally. I never had a conversation with her.
Very sweet, very nice.
No. I have nothing bad to say. I just don't know her. Full disclosure, no problem with her. Except right now her books are soft. But that's not the point. That's a different problem. For a lot of other things. But anyway, but one of the things is that what he was explaining is that when he goes with like 6 to 8 girls, picking the wrong girl could ruin the whole trip.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about teams and finding artists and finding people who can communicate, I think it's really important. So what is that like too? Because Stan seems like, hey, I know what you're describing is that perfect fit for the book on an artistic level, understanding level, probably work relationship level, probably doesn't, hey, this is not what I need for this scene. Could you redo it? Because if you don't have the right artist, it could fuck up your whole book in a lot of ways. If you don't have the right colorist, it could fuck up your whole book. You don't have the right letterer.
He was so the right guy that I couldn't have like. I mean, there's so many things now that I look back on, and it's like, just like lucky, like serendipitous, and also like,
because I'm sure you hear this too. I have friends, and I'm not going to name names. They know who they are, but they've had rough outings with business partners, with writers, artists. Things have gone south. There's been arguments. There's been a lot of money taken, a lot of money wasted. There's been a lot of crazy shit that I've heard, right? And that's because when you have partners, if you don't pick the right one, it could end badly. And I'm sure you've heard that story too. Yeah. So,
Well, I before I did comics, I did do like student films and things of that nature. And and it's funny. I after the show's done, I'm gonna send you a link to my first web series I did, so you can first of all see the quality of it and understand the context of what I'm talking about here. But it's a wrestling show, and it's a great idea. I'm gonna go back and do it one day. It was about a group of friends in their 30s who are all sick of being adults, so they all quit their job, pull their money together, and try to resurrect their backyard wrestling federation. It was called Back to the Yard. So
I got a better idea for you. You just make it a video game. Just make it a video game. Take the concept of backyard baseball, which is
Oh my,
awesome, right? When you got your
yes.
cereal back in the day, you got the CD. Oh, it was great. You're eating healthy cereal, and then you put it into your computer, and like, I'm going to be pitching, and you got the wheelchair pitcher, and he's the best player. Oh, it's great.
The wheelchair pitcher?
You like the wheelchair pitcher, for those who don't know, was the best pitcher in backyard baseball.
I don't remember that. I don't backyard baseball?
Absolutely.
The game. I don't remember that.
It was such a friendly, accessible, promoting game, and nobody talks about it. It's amazing. Like, and that's how I can say it. The way I can say it is that nobody would pick the wheelchair baseball pitcher. I'm like, you're all wrong. His freeze curveball. Ooh, nobody did that thing. How stupid was I? Like,
But to my point, because otherwise I'll wind up talking about this wheelchair guy all day. But like you watch those things, and it's like it's a lot of the mistakes on that are out of my control, and a lot of them were under my control, right? Like, I mean, we kind of shot like a first or second draft, and a lot of it was not under my control because it was like we no budget, no nothing, the first 5 episodes. I was like acting in a lot of the scenes, and I can't act. And I had my partner was like running camera and holding the boom mic and like trying to, I mean, it was a mess, right? But the point is like when you're lucky enough to get somebody that like takes what you did and elevates it in the way that all 3 of them did. Like I mean, that's like the greatest blessing of all. Like, and that's the thing about like that's the thing that I find like so kind of like cathartic about like Fisticuffs is like I think it's gonna go well. Like I really think it's a good story, but like I feel like if for some reason like it didn't like like there's not like a fatal flaw that I can point at and be like, oh, that's where I screwed up, because like I'm like so proud of the art side of it. So like if people just don't get it or it doesn't catch, oh well. But like from like a piece of like work and stuff, like I kind of just always wanted to have, it's weird. We kind of like emulate like our heroes in a way, right? So like, when I first started, like one of the first people I wanted to be like was like Kevin Smith, right? And the idea that like he did Clerks, right? He kind of like shot his shot and put it out in the world and saw what happened. That's kind of how I saw like Fisticuffs in a way, right? It's kind of one complete story that I believe in, and like what happens, happens. And I'm proud of that.
See, it's interesting, right? Because you're also fully committed, right?
Yeah.
So I'm fully committed to this for another year, at least. And every year I want to fully committing, and I've been doing it for a while. My show, but I'm also fully committed to a lot of other things. Like I'm fully committed to the business I run, and we're going to see where it goes. And obviously improvements happen, but that's where I'm at, right? And I think there's something to be said because a bunch of people do not fully commit to their book. Where they'll commit to an issue, they'll commit to another issue, they'll commit to another issue, but they're going issue by issue by issue. And I've had this conversation, and I said to somebody once, I said, you should offset print your book if you are fully committed. You should go and take the leap of faith and drop $2,200 to print 3,000 copies of your book. Now, because unless you're willing to do that, you don't believe in this the same way. You're not willing to die on this. Like, I'm willing to die for my business. I've said this openly before, and I'll say it here again. I have no problem taking $60,000 worth of cash, setting it in my living room, getting a bottle of lighter fluid, and lighting it on fire. No problem doing it. I've already done it multiple times.
Wow.
And
Dude, next time, just give me the 60,000 and like
no, metaphorically.
It's a metaphorical fire, and then I'll take the literal cash.
I'm not saying you should take 60 grand and burn your money. In case
I'm kidding.
Didn't get the metaphor.
No, I took it to mean that you literally did that, and I'm just saying, like, I'll take the cash and we can just light a fire.
Yes.
I get you.
I didn't know how to toast my marshmallows any other way, guys. But the point that I'm making and why I say it the way I say it is that when you make those decisions to say, I'm okay with losing $60,000, then you become at a different level. And I think, but I'm not saying you got to drop 60K, but like, this is where if you believe deeply enough in a project, then you should offset print your book. Because then you should tell people, hey, look, I printed 3,000 copies of issue 1 because I am so damn confident in it, because that tells me now as a backer that you believe in it. Because if you don't believe in your project, then why should I back your project, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Absolutely.
something to be said about that. I am willing to die for my eBay business, and I am willing to die for this show. And I've gotten interviews because I've explained that to people, and people are like, "You're gonna die for this," and I'm like, "Yes." And then people are like, "Okay, this is now you going the extra distance, and you're willing to do whatever it's gonna take." And there's definitely a different mentality, and I think there's something to be said when you say, "Hey, look, I'm gonna throw a number out there. It's just 8 to 10,000 a relative number for the art and everything that's been pumped into this."
No, well, it's more than actually, all the 6 issues and stuff. But yeah, the point is
a different way. Let me put it a different way. Did you pump in? So I'm going to put this nicely, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could you buy a car? Could you buy a Honda Civic?
Yeah.
Money that you pumped into this.
Yeah.
Person?
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't know how much a Civic costs, but yes, that sounds about right. And
I'm not saying it as a diss, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm trying to get people to understand, okay, now real money is contingently involved.
Yeah.
Because if it's only $3,000, I can make I've made $3,000 in 6 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah, before. I mean,
and it's also like the other thing that like people, say, and it's one of those things that like, you say, and you hear people hear all the time, and you don't resonate with it. And that's that, like, people say, and it's true, you're not here to make money. Like, obviously, like, you hope you do, but like the point I'm making, like, there are easier, like, if I wanted like a car, there are easier ways to, like, I could have literally just gone and bought a car. I would rather, I would rather do this, and hopefully that will fund the car later on. Like, this is like the most, if you have a shopping list, right, or a Christmas list, right, like, this is the only thing, like, anything else kind of comes secondary, right? Like, you have to kind of like put yourself out, even like, and here's the thing, like, it's also action too, right? Like, even the last, like, calm down, buddy. Even the last like 6 months of like, just kind of, once you decide that, like, because I was, again, same thing that happened with the last book. I was kind of floating around, and I didn't really know what to do with the book. I was like, should I try to, pitch it to somebody? I made a couple of contacts with people, and like, I basically like wasted a year like waiting to like hear back from people, like, to see if they were going to like suggest something, because I was still like new to this and stuff. Once I committed to, like, and this is another thing that people talk about too, one of the best things you can do to help yourself is give yourself a date. Like, just be like, I'm going to do it on this date. Because, you can like walk around forever, and you're like, hey, I'm doing this thing. And like, you try to get people excited, and then you gauge your excitement on their excitement. And it's like it's like this thing that like never fulfills you until you actually like, take the steps. And like the last, until I finally, like 6 months ago, or actually, yeah, like maybe like 8 months ago, decided I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to do the steps and whatever. Like, that's when like I was like emotionally committed to it too. So yes, financial commitment for sure.
Let's talk about that too. Let's talk about that, because there is a point where you gotta fucking just do it, right?
Yes.
I mean,
that was actually the best advice. Some of the best advice I got was from Chad Perkins, another creator.
That guy, and his Inside Out. How dare he?
And his like, squid porn. Just kidding. I love Set the Hook. I loved it book too. I was raving about it, man. Like, I didn't even read that. Like, I have so many things to read that I'm terrible at. I love it, but like what he's like, I was like stressing. I'm like, oh, with the Kickstarter, once I got into it, I'm like, do I have enough followers yet? Do I not? Like, how long do I wait until whatever? And he told me that like his experience was he hit a number of followers, and he felt like he was kind of like stagnating there. And he was like, if I obsess on like getting more numbers, I'm going to lose the people that I already got excited. So it just kind of like, he just kind of went on feel. And like, eventually I just got to a point where I kind of felt the same thing. Like, once I heard him say that, and then I felt the same way, I was like, I'm ready now.
you're bringing up a good point. So
Mhm.
I used to do all these anime panels, and one of my favorite panels is how to get into podcasting, right?
Mhm.
And what I said is, I said, great. Here's what you got to figure out, everybody. Do you want to have an interview show, a talk show, a curated show? What do you want to do? That's your first step. Your second step, before you do that, you should research. So you should watch political stuff that curates, political interviews, regular interviews, Larry, King, Barbara Walters, all that stuff, or curated shows, talk shows, hangouts, whatever you want to do, right? Then look, your first run out, your first 10, 20, 30 are going to suck. It took me 50 interviews to finally feel comfortable. That means 49 people had to suffer. They had to suffer for me. The first 10 were really rough. We were speaking off air about Eddie Kingston, and that was like number 15, and that thing was rough. Great, good interview if you break it up and cut it up into pieces. But it took me a long time to figure out how to get good at this. And then I moved from doing pre-recorded to going live. And I got to say, the first 10 live were rough too, but they were a lot better than the first 10 that I ever did. Now, you got to remember, I had some big people on in the first like 15 interviews that I've ever done, which is crazy. And how the fuck I pulled that off, I'm still bewildered. But the point I'm making is that what I say to people, I say, look, you're going to suck.
Yeah.
So,
and you have to learn that. And you know what? And the thing is, you're going to tell yourself that you're the exception. Not me. No, I'm going to get it. Like everybody else struggles. I'll get it. No, that's not the case. That's why I brought up Back to the Yard. Like, because even though like Fisticuffs is only like my second comic, you can go there and look and see all my struggles are like right there. And I wear them because I still like it.
Me, when they watched it, they said, you didn't struggle to get big guests in your first run out. That wasn't your struggle. That's what people struggle on too. That wasn't the problem. The problem I had was that I just needed repetitions. I needed just repetitions.
Yeah.
And I'm night and day now because I'm now comfortable. I also don't care what people think anymore, which also helps a lot. But the problem wasn't getting big guests. That was the easy part. I just asked when nobody was asking people. We were like, yeah, oh, come on.
That's the funny thing is like it's always the part of it that like you didn't expect, right? Like, that's the hard part. Like you always imagine that. Calm down, buddy. You always imagine that like there's a part that like, that you would be like good at and like or natural at. What? Come here. Oh. I think he just chewed a hole in the he chewed a hole in something. There's stuffing coming out of something. I think he just chewed a hole in the recliner. This is what happens when like he doesn't get attention. And the funny thing is, his name is Parker. Because when I first got him, I was like flirting with like names to get him, and like I had a little bed for him, and the spider was kind of crawling into the bed, and I stopped at the last minute. But I'm like, oh, Parker, like Peter Parker, they would fit. But the other added side of it is like when he's bad, Parker, what are you, deaf? Called you twice. I can get to be like do my J. Jonah Jameson impersonation and like call him. But
my dog is called Hope.
Okay.
Her full name is White Christmas Hope.
Okay.
So Hope is a simple name, and it's one syllable, and dogs tend to respond better to one syllable names. And she's just a sweet animal. She was born in like December, like I think like December 11th, 12th, 13th, around that day. And so it's like joy, hope to the world, all that stuff. And she's great. And so she's like a sweet little animal. So that's why she's called Hope. But and then
I know you told me that how much you love your pup. They're the best. I love that thing.
Expensive dog. She's an expensive dog.
He just got a bath a minute ago, which he didn't like. But it was fun. He was like, he fights you tooth and nail, and it's like it's such like a microcosm. But you're like, how do people do kids? Like I can't imagine it. Like a dog. A dog is the right amount of handful.
She doesn't mind like a shower. She doesn't mind it.
Oh, he hates baths. That's his thing. He hates that more than anything. He does not like to be wet.
But then we got a blow dryer. So she likes the blow dryer a lot.
He does not. He does not like it. I do that with him, but he does not.
but she's terrified of the ocean. It's so weird. So she's only seen the ocean once, and the
Uh-huh.
waves freaked her the hell out. Like they freaked her out because they were coming and going, and she was like, "Daddy, pick me up." Like that's what she was like. I've never seen her like that. I thought it was funny.
They're the best, though. I mean, that's like their connection. Like that's. I always remember, like when I first got my dog, somebody described the phrase as like imprinting, and it's like I love that. Like he's imprinted on me, and like I'm imprinted on him. It's great. Like that's.
But in her defense, if I forced her into it, she might have loved the ocean. But
Yeah.
she's never seen it before, right? So naturally, she'd be terrified. It's like the first time she went down into my backyard and it was fenced off. She had no idea that was hers. She had no idea. And then when you force her down, and then she was going down the stairs, she turned out to love it. But she didn't know, but she was scared because she had no idea how to do it, right? It's not because she was abused or anything. I mean, you got her when she was a puppy, and she's been loved all her life, but like she just never had that. So
Right.
like, it's funny, but that's a massive aside. But I do want to get back to your book and Chad Perkins, because it's like there's a point where you just have to do it, right? And you have to
Yes.
of it, and
Because if you don't, you're eventually gonna wind up like hurting yourself. There is a sweet spot of like, you know, people are interested in whatever, and like like that was his advice, was like, I'm gonna lose if I try to gain more people, I'm gonna wind up net losing people. And I was like, that makes sense. Like, you just kind of got to go with it.
So to even talk about that though, because obviously Kickstarter is a complicated space now.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think Kickstarter is complicated to the point where you have a lot of projects on there. You have a lot of people doing a lot of crazy stuff on Kickstarter. You have more people than ever. And what is that like? Because I think it's harder than ever to navigate.
Yeah.
Because there's so many good people doing so many interesting projects. And I'll be honest, right now it's tax season for me. And it sucks. It sucks. And I'm just burned out. From Kickstarter, I'm burned out from a lot of stuff. I'm burned out from comics, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm taking a break economically from all this stuff too. And so what is that like too? Because I think right now, not to get too political, but the world is kind of a scary place right now. And there's a lot of uncertainty. And I know a lot of people who have a lot of fear. You know, me and my coworkers were talking about this yesterday about the stock market. And you know, the people are just stopping doing stuff, and they're keeping money in cash, and they're not spending. And then on top of that, you have way more products than ever on Kickstarter, crowdfunding, Zoop, whatever you want to call it. And then you also have people saying, look, you know, I don't know where things are going, and I'm not so gung-ho on this. So, like, I think it's a tricky space. And I did a Kickstarter a while ago, and it was tough for me. So.
Yeah, I will give you more information as I have it, as this is like really my first Kickstarter. I'm trying to learn the ropes and figure it out. But, you know, I wrote about this in my newsletter because, and we talked about this, right? Like I could very easily like, I mean, I have a tendency to drive myself crazy with like worry and stuff. And like the weeks leading up to the Kickstarter, you know, that's all I was like, anytime there was like a blurb on the news, I'm like, are shipping prices going to go up? Are people going to be discouraged or whatever? But I wrote about this in my newsletter. Stop it, buddy. He really just wants, he's hiding the ball in a towel now. So I'll dig it out for him. There you go. Anyway, I wrote, again, in my newsletter, I talked about this. When I was doing my wrestling show ages ago, I worked in a gym at the time, back when I was like really fit and, you know, into all that. And this is the best advice I ever got from somebody that was completely naked while giving it. But somebody stopped, and, you know, we were having a conversation in the locker room one day, and he said that we go into battle with the army we have, not the army we wish we had. And that always stuck with me, right? Like, I could sit around all day and try to second guess how things are going to get better or worse for Kickstarter. I can like try to, you know, kick myself, you know, and I have kicked myself for not doing it earlier when things were maybe steadier or safer. But right now I'm just in it, and like I can't do anything about that, right? Like I can't, even the stuff that you talked about, like the climate of the world and all that stuff. Like you know, it's very easy. I like to follow all that traditionally, but you know, right now while I'm trying to do this project, it would drive me nuts. So all I can do is handle what's in front of me, and that's this project, and try and keep promoting it. and just keep fighting.
Let me
like,
ask this, because
yeah,
is it also the idea that you already paid for the art? You're the writer. You paid for covers, or a majority of them, or you're paying for the covers as the books come out when you need them, right? But the majority of this project is already covered, meaning the art, the lettering, the coloring. That should be the most expensive elements of this, if I'm not mistaken, minus printing, of course.
Well, I'm on that. Well, that's what the Kickstarter's for. The Kickstarter will fund the printing and all that. So yes, I'm on the back end of it. But
so there, to some degree, there's less pressure, because it's not like you're running this Kickstarter and you need to raise $8,500 to cover part of the art that isn't completed yet.
Right.
And then,
well, there's absolute pressure in that. Like I'm trying to like begin a career here and like keep whatever. Like, I mean, again, that's the pressure, is that like, that I was saying a minute ago, is like, I wished I'd done this, 2 years ago, because then, things would have been more stable and I would be in a better position now.
But I'll give you an example. I'm not going to use names, but I know somebody who needs to cover like 6,500.
Yeah.
They need printing, and then they also need $2,000 for art. And that's a big difference, because to get 6,500 and pump out 6,500 is very different. And if all the art is already done, everything is covered in that regard, and then you're just covering printing, then you just need to sell a lot of books to make up and recoup your money on the back end.
Oh, yes. I mean, I've got a huge head start. Like when COVID was going on, like I got a lot of help from my mom when she was still with us. And like, that was the best kind of like head start, like gift, like that anybody like gave me. Like when I, started the project and I hit a block, like she just, scooped me up, and like, by the time, like, and again, there was a lot of stuff going on in the world. Like Stan lives in Russia. So, there was a lot of like pressure to like make sure that like, I'm in my head, I was like, I just want to make sure that we, get this art done and like, I had all kinds of like fears and uncertainties, and like they were, most of them were like misplaced, most of the things that I was worried about. It's again another old adage, right? It's like the wisest man, given all the time in the world, will never be able to prepare for the thing attack he never saw coming. It's that kind of thing where it's like you spend all this time worrying about like this is going to go wrong or that's going to go wrong, and you're not like actually doing the things that you could have been doing. Like this could have been a shorter path on my end, and it's my fault, and I'm going to kick myself for it, but I'll do that later. Like right now, it's like I'm in it.
Do you also feel, and feel free to tell me to be quiet, but there's plenty of stuff that I wish I did, right?
Oh yeah,
years ago. But I also think that now I'm ready to do stuff.
Absolutely. Me 6 months ago, I wouldn't be able to do this right now. Like I kind of hit like a low point where I'm like, I don't know what to do, and I was like a mess. And then I just relearned. I just did the things that I learned all the stuff that it's weird. It's like, and I'm a recovering addict, right? Like they say that like addicts always try to outsmart the easier, softer way, right? The easier, softer way was to just start from the beginning and like learn how to do stuff, learn how to, do a newsletter, learn how Kickstarter works. I remember like I was all panicked. It was like, okay, here's a good one. You've seen My Cousin Vinny?
Oh yeah. Everybody's seen that. It's great.
Hey, you know the scene where he's like all proud of himself and he's like, I went to the counselor and I got him to give me all his files, and he was like so proud of himself, like he did something. Like 6 months ago, I'm like running around like drowning, like how am I going to do Kickstarter? Where am I going to get this information? And I open up Kickstarter, and there's like the Kickstarter handbook that has all that information if you just read it. Like it was right there, and like I really felt like Joe Pesci, where I'm like, oh man, it was like right there, and all I had to do was ask for it. So yeah, like you're right. Like you don't. It's not until you kind of like you sharpen the blade that like it eventually learns how to cut.
It's funny in which I didn't learn how to interview by reading a handbook. I learned how to interview by interviewing. Right.
Oh well, that's the other side of it too. Yeah, you can spend all the time learning and reading, but practical knowledge is the other side. You can't do one without the other.
Funny, I didn't learn how to write an interview either by writing an interview, by thinking about how to write an interview. I wrote an interview, and my interviews used to be 9 fucking pages, and then they came down to 6, then they came down to 3, and now they're 2 to 3 pages, a lot of bullet points. But when I teach people, people ask me how you do it. I say your first 20, write every question out. Write every question out. You write bullet points, but you need to write it out first till you're comfortable getting it down to bullet points, getting it down to thought processes, and getting it down to components. But I can shoot raw too, and I have. But it's funny because there's some good interview stuff that I would not be able to pull off that I now can pull off. And do I wish that I did it a lot earlier? Without a doubt. But there's also the idea that maybe I wasn't ready for it.
No, I was not. And honestly, it's weird because here's the thing, and I didn't. This is another phrase that people use a lot, and I'm going to advise it to everybody out there, and it's called trust the process. And it sounds like, whatever, but like I was like reading this stuff in the book, and they're like, oh, you do this, and then you grow your this, and then like people, start, and I'm like, that's not going to work. Like, that's not going to or that's not how things work. But like, honestly, the best things that I did were like, I'm going to go back to Travis, right? Like meeting Travis, getting in the Discord and just getting in that Discord and like asking questions. Like instead of like just being like, hey guys, I don't know this. What would you do? And like, I got like so many great creators that like, kind of like, just like, lifted your hand up out of the shit and was like, this is what you try this. And like, yeah,
it's interesting. So I tried Whatnot and I read their handbook, but it wasn't going to work. And I realized quickly that it wasn't a fit for me. And even when I was selling books, what I was trying to sell and going live, it wasn't going to work.
Well, that's the other thing is you got to ride the waves and like see what works and like be like, this works, this doesn't. I'll discard this, I'll keep this, and then I'll try this. And then you eventually get a formula that's I think.
Is that I went back to eBay and then I figured out pricing on things of that nature. And also, though, it's a particular genre that's not working. So there's certain comics that work great on eBay and are killing it. And then there's certain things that aren't working great, but cards are killing it for me right now on eBay. So, there's also the idea that sometimes something might not work collectively. And I tried it. I tried the process, but it's also really important to know when to drop a process. But that's neither here nor there. But
it is there because it's that's like you said, that's part of it too, is like discovering, what works for you. Because like I look at other creators that are like, better at certain aspects of like of this than I am, and I can't. Again, here we go. Another great wrestling piece of advice. I'm sure you've seen the Rise and Fall of ECW, right? The DVD.
Oh yeah.
Paul Heyman talks about this, that like accentuate the positives, hide the negatives, right? So he would say like he knew he couldn't compete with WWE on pyros and things of that nature. So he just didn't go there and didn't try to do those things. He just decided to do what he thought he could do, which was like good character, good story, exciting matches. So like, again, once you try this stuff, you start to figure out who you are along the way. And again, I'm still not there yet. Like I look at myself and these things and I think I'm still kind of a spastic mess, but I'll figure it out. And, one day I'll, it's like I may suck today, but like one day I won't. And I'm okay with that now. You got to be okay to look stupid. If you're not, again, Paul Heyman, again, if you're not afraid to fail, you got a shot at succeeding. So.
Oh man, I have failed up. I have failed up.
Yeah.
And we look at me, we look at who's been on my show and probably 1,000 interviews, and I have failed up. Collectively. There's no question about it. And I will continue to fail up. And there's plenty of people who have been on, and I get a lot of rejections, and I just say, cool. Wait till we come around again and again and again and again. And you notice there's people now, I'm like, I don't want you on my show, and you can't pay me enough. And I don't care how big you are. And I will tell them that. And I won't tell them that in an email. I'll call them up and tell them.
I wouldn't do that, but I'm not that bold. But
what would you say?
I said I'm not that bold, but all right. Like, hey, I don't want you, and you're not good enough. Goodbye.
No. What it is that it's there gets a point where you have to make it crystal clear to everybody else, because my favorite line from Billions is that a win is not a win unless it's a kill. And it goes to this idea that sometimes you got to remind people, hey, you rejected me 3 years ago. I've hustled my ass off. You want now back on. And I'm not too sure I want you on because you rejected me first. And I don't know if you're at the quality of my show. Because what it does is that it's not the person who you're rejecting. It's not for them. It's to remind all of their friends that when I ask you the next time, think about realizing if you say no to me, is this opportunity going to come again?
Got it. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, I guess. You don't want to.
You have to send messages, and you have to virtual signal because you and it sounds fucked up, and I know it is. But it also reestablishes territory, and it's an important thing to do every once in a while. But that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah,
a whole different level. This is like 3-dimensional chess level. And I'm one of those kids. I'm one of those guys. But I digress. Not everybody likes that, but I do.
Right.
But I do want to ask this question. This is around Kickstarter. Where do you think it's going? And where do you think comics are going? Because this is a big thing that is really complicated. Again, I am taking a break right now from comics. I'm really, really into anime.
After you read Fisticuffs, of course.
I mean, I'm still reading, but I'm not as heavy because obviously it's wrestling season right now. It's wrestling season. WrestleMania is really big. So, like, I go through cycles.
WrestleMania season is real for me. Like, I get, like, I mean, even when especially when I was, like, in the meathead and stuff, I would lift harder during WrestleMania season. Like, it felt like I would get that spirit the way people get the Christmas spirit.
What it is that I'm right now really in an anime drive, and I'm really in a wrestling drive right now. And, like, I'm watching a lot more wrestling. I'm watching Monday Night Raw. It's more accessible. I'm watching a lot more pay-per-views, WrestleMania, probably a few weeks after it. But then it'll die down for a while. And then maybe I'll pick up some comics. Maybe I'll pick something else. Maybe I'll pick up some indie wrestling. I don't know. But right now, really from January to, like, pretty much May, it is all wrestling and it's all anime and other stuff. And then there's obviously some sports, and then baseball's going to kick up soon enough.
Yeah, I look forward to baseball. Who's your baseball team?
I'm a Mets fan.
Oh, fuck off. Phillies. Phillies, man. I grew up, hour from Philly.
Jersey split, man. I was at an anime con, and depending on the local bar in the area, what flag they're pushing depends where you are in New Jersey. So is it Southern and Northern New Jersey? Northern New Jersey, I think.
Mets and Jets.
Mets, Jets, Giants usually.
Yeah.
And then Southern is Phillies and Eagles. And but the NBA is tricky because I don't think Jersey is really split on the NBA.
No, Jersey's Nets, I feel. I mean, we're not really like I've always found Jersey was like not really Sixers people.
Yeah, you don't see a bar waving an eagle like a Sixers flag. Like no offense to the Sixers, but also,
or I mean, I don't remember a lot of Flyers too because we had the Devils and shit. Like they were like, and the Islanders too were like North Jersey, right? So yeah, like I remember because I grew up in like central, like I grew up in like Hamilton, right outside of Trenton, and it was a big deal when we got the Trenton Thunder, like the minor league team. That was like our thing for a while, like old Waterfront Park, and then it became like most minor league teams do, just kind of a less significant thing.
I mean, look, I'm a Knicks fan. I'm in Connecticut. I grew up in New York. I work in New York. I work in Westchester. So I enjoy the Westchester Knicks. It's the G League. The G League is some good shit. Like it's good basketball, guys. So if you have a G League team around, oh my God, it's absolutely wonderful.
Never even heard of that.
So the G League is like AAA basketball.
Okay.
So it's NBA. It's part of the NBA technically, and it's really cool because like a lot of so these are players who are really good, and we're like the top of the top in college, but they're not good enough to be in the NBA, not because they're not great players, but because there's only so many spots in the NBA.
Yeah.
So you have guys like on the Knicks, they have a guy Tyler Kolek, and he's paid $9 million. So he has I think he had like an $8 million signing bonus, and he was like the 34th draft pick like 2 years ago. That's a pretty high draft pick if you think about it.
Yeah.
So, but like, there's not a spot for him in the NBA. So instead of having him sit on the 14th bench and not get any play time, he's playing every night in the G League.
Right. Yeah. Baseball does that too. It's better to keep people active and playing.
AAA. It's in AAA. So like that's but the NBA doesn't have a single A, double A, and AAA. They just have the G League. But then a guy gets injured. Guess what? You could call somebody in from the G League, but you can only keep so many players on your team in the G League, so anybody can poach from any team on the G League.
Really?
So the Charlotte Hornets or the Mavs can poach a player from the Westchester Knicks if he's not under a contract.
It's kind of like baseball's like Rule 5 almost, like the Rule 5 draft.
Sort of. But then
where you can like protect certain players, but not the rest of the team. Yeah.
So, but then it gets tricky. So the Mavs just poached somebody for 10 days, and then he got sent back to the Westchester Knicks.
Okay. So yeah, then you're switching between franchises.
It's so crazy, but it's a digress. But anyway, getting back to the question. So like, where do you think this is all going? Because with Kickstarter and comics and everything, because I think it's such an interesting environment right now. Because I am personally taking a break from everything for a lot of reasons, but I'm curious what you think, because things are complicated in comics right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's oversaturated is a good way to put it.
Sure.
Again, if you think I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong.
No. So this is the way I look at it, right? It's from a creator standpoint, and like from a creator standpoint, especially now, right? Like again, this is the difference between me now and like me a few months ago, right? Is like now like I'm not gonna spend time trying to like analyze that stuff, because like it'll just wind up like, I feel like that's where madness lies, right? When you start like second guessing stuff, like oh, well, is the market slow? Will the market get better? Should I hold off on this? Like, I personally believe that like cream rises, for the most part. If you just I believe if you like put out good content, it will it'll rise. It'll cut through, and I think doubly so. Like, if you just keep kind of, especially again. I don't even consider myself in the business yet, so take this with a grain of salt or whatever. But like from like my experience, right, I feel like if you just focus on creating like a good catalog, a few good titles and stuff, and I think just try to like keep the rights to them, right, maintain creator owned. Like eventually, when you do get through, like all that kind of stuff will come along with you. So like I went through like a long period of this of like. Hoping the light will come, of like kind of like waiting for the light to crack through of like self-inflicted misery. Now I'm gonna like just keep like focusing on like making comics, because like if I start worrying about other people's misery, it's gonna fucking crush me. So or what else is going on? So I'm just gonna like keep focusing on like these 6 issues of Fisticuffs, and then I've got something else that Stan and I are working on right now. And then I've got another thing that I'd like to do in addition to that, and just keep trying to do this stuff. Because like with comics, like I remember when like Brian Bendis, eventually like, hit, all of a sudden then all the Jinx World stuff is like big. And like when Brian Bendis eventually goes to Marvel, he brought Powers and Jinx and all that stuff with him, right? So like when Kirkman hit, all of a sudden a bunch of people realized Battle Pope was awesome. So like I just think that like eventually like when you like the to some degree, you're better off trying to make your own timing than trying to read the tea leaves and find timing. Because like with this book, like again, I'm just somebody like, again, this book is like finally out there. This was like 23 years of me like playing fucking double dutch, like waiting for that moment where I'm going to jump in into the right fucking spot. And like it wound up almost crushing me. So I think it's better now to just focus on like making content.
Let me ask this, because and I'll use me as an example. So I'll interview people, and then I've had interviews hit at weird times, right?
Yeah.
So there's a voice actor named Michael Zakis, and the interview was just slow as fuck. Now it has almost 10,000 views. Now what? And I've had Bella Madison has had a similar reaction. Cherry DeVries had a similar reaction, and then a few other voice actors have had a similar reaction, and a few people in comics have had a similar reaction. So I also say, cool, maybe it's just out there. Nobody watched it when it came out. I pumped it out. It got a few views, but then all of a sudden, turned away 2 years later, it's got 4,000 views. So maybe it didn't hit when it needed to hit, but then maybe there was a tag in there that was the right tag that directed it correctly, or maybe somehow got into the YouTube algorithm correctly, and now it's doing fine and it's generating 100 views a week or 70 views a week, right?
Yeah.
Or 30 views a week, but it's like clockwork, right? Because 30 views a week times 52 weeks is a decent amount of views, right? And then what starts happening is that once you get to 10,000, then it goes up to 35, right? So it could also be that something doesn't hit today. That doesn't mean it's not going to hit tomorrow, but you got to get something out there, right? Like, but that's also how I view it, is that a product doesn't have to work today,
right?
For it to be valuable or work tomorrow. It could also be that a product might not work in floppies.
Or yeah, exactly. I mean, that's something that I thought about too, right? Like, I personally want it, like, I'll
use somebody as a really good example. Mark Sears. Do you know who Mark Sears is?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Mark Sears does the Monsters books. So Monsters 1 through 8 was all funded on Kickstarter.
Okay.
Mark Sears is killing it right now in variants. His variants at Bird City and at KRS and a few other places are slaying it. They sell out within like 2 minutes. 450 copies at $35 to $40 a piece sell out in 2 to 3 minutes, and they're desirable. And then they trade for like $80 to $90 on eBay all day.
Yeah, and you just have to find your niche. Like, that's something that, like, somebody, one of my favorite inspirational things I go to is this old DVD. It was an HBO documentary called Bafo, where like a bunch of people talk about the film industry, and they always quote. They go back to the old what was his name? Goldman, the producer, William Goldman. Nobody knows anything. That idea that, like, nobody, like, when you try to, like, create, like, manufacture hits or manufacture success, like, it doesn't work. Like, or like, if you say this person's thing works, you'll give you an example of somebody that didn't work.
There are 2 YouTube videos that I've done. I explain what an OVA is. It has like 45,000 views. It's me speaking bad, me speaking looking bad, poor quality, and people are like, dude, this is the best fucking video ever. I'm like, yeah. And the reason why people said is, you explain something in 3 minutes or less that answered the fucking question. Exactly. I don't care how you look. I don't care your background. I don't care. You explained it articulately, and it's great. And then the second other thing is this thing that has like 28,000 views on YouTube of Bella Rockefeller explaining something. And well, Bella Rockefeller's in a bikini. She's cute. She looks good in it. And then she's just talking about something, and obviously it kind of hits the whole video. Yeah. How the fuck did this thing get 26,000 views? Like, what the fuck? Like, and then I'll explain, hey guys, buy this stock and you'll get rich and you'll retire if you throw $1,500 into it. Not a fucking view. You'll get rich and you'll be set for retirement, and you'll have $1,000 coming in every single month when you're 65. And you just follow these 5 steps. Not a view.
I mean, everybody, yeah, because again, it's just totally, dumb luck to some degree. It is kind of, I think, on some level, like catching the algorithm, just right. Like, it's whatever. But like, comics, right? Like, everybody's got their own like secret sauce. Like, you hear about like creators, Dave Byrne, who does like most of his or not most, I don't know most of his business, but you hear he does like a lot of business from all the variant covers and stuff, and like that's, people like the collectability of his work, and his stories are great too. Like, I loved Steak, and that whole universe that he did, but like his niche, I guess, is like kind of doing the collectability of his covers, and like everybody's got one. But like to answer your to bring it back to your earlier question about like where does where do you see like, Kickstarter going and comics going? What I hope, right? What I always hope is that, like, what you wind up getting are just, people that are concerned with telling like a really good, important personal story, rather than like, the other side of it, right? Because like I feel like if you start with like something that you want to like say or express or whatever, like it gives people to like, something to hang on to, right? That's what I was getting at with the elevated smut earlier, right? It's like doing those kinds of like John Waters or those kinds of stories that I like, or but like doing like
don't start me on John Waters.
Oh, I love John Waters. Waters.
I mean, have you seen Pink Flamingo?
Of course. Cecil B. DeMenden's my favorite, though. I love Cecil B. DeMenden. The movie guy in me loves that one. And of course, Crybaby. But yeah, John Waters is the man. But like doing that kind of what? Dirty Shame. Okay, so when we get through Fisticuffs all the way through, we're going to talk about a Dirty Shame, because there's a connection, and we'll talk about it one day. But that's what I meant, right? Like you can do those kinds of stories that are like that kind of spirit and that kind of sense of humor. But like if you attach that to like an emotional story or something personal, you can do something kind of like special. And like that's what I was trying to do, with this story.
Oh my God, just John Waters. Oh my God, just amazing.
I love John Waters. I originally, you'll appreciate this. I originally, when I was like working out the different pitches for like Fisticuffs, there were like several different like works, in progress. One of the ones I used to describe it were if John Waters and Martin Scorsese collaborated to make a comic book, that would have been Fisticuffs. And I think that's a pretty good comp, like those, if you put those two together and put it into a comic, that's where like Fisticuffs gets you.
There's something there, but I love John Waters. John Waters is.
Oh yeah, I love John Waters.
But anyway, I want to back at all this, and I do want to ask you two more questions.
Absolutely.
Before I allow you to promote yourself. So, how is John Cena versus Cody Rhodes going to end? Because this is what we all want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't involve Travis Scott, because these are the important questions of the day.
Okay. All right.
We need the sage.
I got you. I know how this is going to go, or how this should go. I was going to post this rant online, so you're going to hear it here first. This is how I would do it. And if you like my storytelling here, I strongly recommend Fisticuffs, because if you think I can... Okay, anyway. So this is how I would book WrestleMania. On night one, Charlotte beats Tiffy. Clean. Also on night one. Now, I think we've strayed away from this now based on what happened on Raw last night. But also on night one, I would have Jey Uso beat Gunther. Clean. Then CM Punk comes out, cashing in his favor, and demands a main event with Jey Uso, and he would take the world title. On night two of WrestleMania, I would have Bianca Belair turn heel and win the world title. And I would have John Cena win dirty and win the world title. You would unveil a corporate structure that was all set up by The Rock. And the next night on Raw, you debut a mega heel stable of a corporate Charlotte, a corporate Bianca, CM Punk and John Cena in suits, and we're going to throw in Logan Paul and Dominic Mysterio, and we are going to make the most elevated nuclear heel stable imaginable, and do kind of like a corporation meets NWO, for Cody and Roman and those guys to lead the resistance against. But that's what I would do. I would just turn everybody heel and make a mega heel stable.
So I'm not against I like the idea of Cena, Dominic Mysterio, Logan Paul. I'm not too sure we want Charlotte in there, and I'll explain why. I don't think the women should be in this, because I think it's going to detract.
Oh, I always wanted I wanted the bloodline to include like Nia and Naomi. Like I always want that like mega heel thing. But I get that.
My issue here is that I think it's going to get too convoluted.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't think Charlotte can pull it off. I don't think she could pull it off. I think Bianca could pull it off.
Yeah, I want heel Bianca. I've wanted that for a long time, and I really want them to do CM Punk heel.
I don't think Charlotte can do it. I don't have a problem with CM Punk. I think CM Punk would be fascinating, right?
You've seen when he turned heel in ROH and he came out in the suit and he signed his WWE contract on the world title? Like he can be that guy and work.
This is what I think they should do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Impact / TNA did the main event Mafia versus that was great, right?
I love the main event Mafia.
There was the I forget the Resistance, or I forget what the whatever they were called. It slipped my mind off of it, but it was the young guys and like the X division essentially, and the
AJ and the pure babies,
guns, and like those are like versus WWE guys.
I just remembered when Kevin Nash tried to claim the X division as his own, and he was doing the splash off the bottom rope.
I enjoyed Kevin Nash at Paparazzi TV. I thought that was funny.
Oh, yeah. TNA in that era was like really like criminally underrated. Like they had a good product for years.
Scott Steiner doing ring announcing.
Yes, everything he did
took over, and then he's like, "Get these fat pieces of shit out here! Like, get them out here! I don't know your name. I'm new at this." And like, he was reading the cards. It was great.
Yeah, I love that. I'm an unabashed Scott Steiner fan. It's also Scott Snyder, but Scott Steiner fan. Like Steiner brothers are my favorite tag team. I think of all time. Like if you put a team together, like I've always been a fan of like that like collegiate wrestling style, like them, the Kurt Angle, the Taz, the suplexes. Like that's my jam. Like I like wrestlers like that. So I like them, but I also love when he went off the deep end and went like full like Steiner math and shit. Like it's so great.
I don't have a problem with everything. I just don't think Charlotte would. I think Charlotte would from the stable. I think Bianca would be much better.
But you could throw Tiffy in there then. I don't care. But I would do like some kind of like Rock Mega thing. And again, you've just got a lot of like really like nuclear heel potential there. Like, I mean, Logan and Dominic have like such heat right now. And it's like, I don't even think it's like X-Pac go away heat. I think it is more like, hey, we like you. We like to hate you heat. Like Logan Paul might have go away heat with some people, but that's fine.
Logan Paul, Dominic Mysterio, John Cena would be a lot of fun.
Oh my God. It'd be like a little evolution again, which I like. You know, I think that's what a good stable does, is like builds up people.
Because then also what you get is that you have Cena eventually drop the title, either SummerSlam or Survivor Series, or what I made the argument is Cena's last run, maybe he should walk away with the title, and maybe, and I threw this idea out there, and people said this is a bad idea, but he wins the title sometime at Survivor Series. There's no more pay-per-views for the year. The following Raw, he just goes out to the ring. He leaves his boots and the title in the ring. Screen goes black, and then he disappears. And then the screen comes back on, and his title and the boots are just in the ring. And he's done. Because when you leave your boots in the ring, it means you're done. And that's the ending for John Cena.
I had a similar idea on that. I had a similar take on that. What I would do, I would have Cena lose at Mania. If you go that route, there's a way to do this. I would have him lose at Mania, so Cody gets the clean win at Mania. That's the one that people remember. Have Cena take the title around SummerSlam. Have him by shady circumstances. Have him leave and hand the title over to The Rock, and let The Rock be inherit the championship. And now Cody's got to beat the final boss, because eventually it's a waste if they don't do Cody and The Rock eventually. So I think they could do that and transition. But man, we could do wrestling all day. It's
this is what we do on Fridays.
Oh, dude, have me on. I'll come by. I would love to come by.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll do wrestling. It'll be fun. But I like the idea of John Cena's last appearance, of him leaving his boots on the ring.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Because that's the end. Because he is done now. And I think it would be extremely impactful. He comes out, and then his boots are just in the ring. Title, no title, his shorts, whatever, his sneakers, whatever you want to call it. But they're now in the ring, and that's how the last Netflix of his career ends, and
So
that's how it ends.
let me ask you this question then.
So we know the ending, right, of his career. So then we work backwards.
Let me ask you this question, because he brought this up. Who then would be the person to hold 18 titles?
To do what? 18?
Remember, he did at the thing. He's like, I want to win this title so I can shake the hand of the person that wins 18. Who do you see that could ever do that right now? Is there somebody?
I don't think there is somebody.
I mean, frankly, if it's going to be Cena for this generation, it should remain Cena. Like, they shouldn't give that to Cena and then have like Orton do it. Like, that would be a waste. Let it be Cena for a while. I'm just saying, like, is there a guy that you see coming up that has that kind of star potential to be like a repeat champion? Like,
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, it is. It's a head scratcher. Because if in the women's division, if you were going to ask me, like, who on the women's division could just run away with a ton of title reigns, it's Roxanne. Like, she's got an amazing future ahead of her, and I could see, and she's young enough that she could do it. I don't know who the men's option would be. I would love to see like somebody like that's like on the rise up, like somebody like Braun, but I don't think Braun Breaker is that guy yet. You know, not close. So I don't know. It's interesting, and they always say the old thing about like the next guy doesn't look like the old guy. So I don't know. 18 is a lot. 18 is a lot of reigns.
It is a lot. And I don't know.
And technically, doesn't Flair technically have like 20 something anyway? So
it's complicated. It should not be Orton. Or Orton won't be it. And Orton should be John Cena's last match. It would be Orton or Edge. But they're not going to get Edge.
No. I don't even like what Edge is doing right now in AEW. I'm not a fan. I think
him and Moxley going at it.
Oh, I'm not a Moxley guy. You're going to argue with me about this all day. I don't like Moxley at all. Frankly, I subscribe to the school of Stone Cold was right when he called him out on his podcast, and like, you know, he's like, step up, grab the brass ring or don't. And what happened? I think he just kind of like shrunk up and he didn't. And I'm not a fan. I don't like Moxley. I know other people. I have friends that argue with me about this to the death, but I'm not a Moxley guy.
Oh, that's a shame.
I know. I did for a while. There was, you know, for a brief while, my dog was, before he was Parker, Moxley was in contention for a name. I thought Mox would have been a cool name for around the house, but I'm glad I didn't now. Boy, oh boy.
Oh,
that's what was your number two? You said there were two questions of the day. That was one. What's number two?
Oh, man, I'm out of ideas now. No.
Oh!
This was so good that it slipped my mind.
Yeah, well, I get that way with wrestling, man. We'll get lost on wrestling, and you know it'll be.
But no, it was good. It was good. But I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself, Swift.
Absolutely.
Follow you, hit you up, all that fun stuff.
Sure. Once again, my name is Fred Schwartz. I'm the creator of a book called Fisticuffs. Fisticuffs is about a functional drunk whose comfortable life derails when a one-night stand has deadly consequences. It is absolutely for fans. Actually, I had the most flattering comparison the other day. Somebody compared our work to Garth Ennis and Frank Miller. So I think that's a very fair comp. I get a lot of Preacher comparisons. So for fans of The Boys and Preacher and the works of Frank Miller, it is absolutely for you. Again, somebody that, you know, if you would like to see a John Waters meets Martin Scorsese in a comic form, also for you. Tarantino comic, another good way to describe it. But I would encourage you guys to take a chance on this because the team, Stan Yak, Robert Nugent, Dave Sharp, are all amazing professionals. Did a job beyond my wildest dreams. I could not be more proud of this book. It'll probably be like I'm certain I won't live long enough to ever spend this amount of time on a project again. So I urge you to take a chance on it. It is. Fair warning, it is mature content, potentially triggering for some people, so be advised. But if you do think those kinds of books are your bag, absolutely check us out, give us a chance. And, to quote another movie that I like quite a bit, if you put your faith in myself and JT Marlin, we will not have to ask for it again, for all you Boiler Room fans out there. But give us a chance, give us a read, and I think you'll like what you see. And as far as catching up with us, Fisticuffs is on Kickstarter right now. We end on March 28th at 3 p.m. So please, we are very close to the threshold right now. Before we started this, we were $141 away. I would love nothing more than to get over that threshold today so I can start working on these stretch goals that we're working out. We got a sneak peek of something that Stan and I are working on as a potential stretch goal. So please jump on board, give us a shot, and I hope that we will reward you and satisfy you thoroughly. And to find me, you can find me at www.schwartzart-llc.com. Schwartz is in my last name, art, all one word, -llc.com. And you can find me on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, all those things, at Schwartzart LLC, all one word. Thank you.
Well, that's a lot right there, and you should go check all that out. And then as far as I'm concerned, obviously, I am Pop Anime Comics on Twitter/X, Pop Anime Comics on the Gram or the Instagram, as the cool kids call it. I am Pop Anime Comics on Facebook. I am Pop Anime Comics on YouTube. Please subscribe. It is free, and you won't miss any interview that I do. And I got a lot of stuff out there. All my interviews are up there. There's probably like 1,000, maybe 1,100 of them. So there's a lot of content to watch if you want to start from the beginning. A lot of fun, a lot of micro content also gets up there. And I'm going to be adding a lot more stuff up. And then I got, I think, like 90 to 100 interviews that have never been published. So I got a lot of content to go through. And slowly that stuff is getting edited, handled, all that fun stuff. So go check that out on YouTube. I am Pop Anime Comics on TikTok. And then I do run a little eBay store called Pop Anime Comics Collectibles. So look for Comics and Collectibles. Come shop with us on eBay. And I do sell things like this in my store. I sell like these are awesome, man. There's only like 200 of them. It was print to order and nobody ordered it. It's like anime John Cena. It's awesome.
I hope he shows up with a shaved head.
It's gonna be wonderful. It's gonna be awesome. And then obviously I sell this stuff. I sell stuff like this in my store. I sell baseball cards like this. So they put bases in cards. I sell a lot of WNBA stuff like this and this as well. And unfortunately, you might have missed it, but I did pick up this card and I did sell it. So this is a 101 Diana Taurasi card and a really expensive WNBA card. One of them in the world, she signed her retirement card and a really cool card in that realm. So I do carry stuff like that in my store as well. So if you're looking for really cool stuff, rare cards, everything, and I sell everything from $7 cards all the way up to $1,000 apparently. And I have some really cool stuff. And I can show some of this stuff actually because I have it right here. I have one of these, which is a Jaden Daniels Worn patch card. And there's only 10 of these in the world. Expensive card, and it's up for sale in my eBay store. So I'm asking $700 for it. So it's an expensive card, guys. Super expensive. Sold out in about 30 seconds. So great quarterback. Awesome. Arguably one of the best rookie quarterbacks ever. And it's only going to go up in value. And I think once football season starts, if it doesn't sell, I'm going to raise it up again. And there's only one of them up on eBay right now. And I know because it's mine. So super expensive card. So I do sell stuff like that as well in my store. So, but again, as I stated, I sell everything from $7 cards all the way up to $1,000 and then some. So you never know what's going in my store. And I have said this before, that if you are looking for something and it's not in my store, shoot me a message and ask, because I may have it. And if I do, and I'm selling it, more than happy to hook you up with everything that I'm selling. And if I do not have it, chances are I know somebody who does have it. And I'm more than happy to point you in the right direction. I've done it for plenty of clients and more than happy to help anybody in that regard because I get it. Collecting can be hard in finding things, buying things, and all sorts of cool stuff of that nature. So, yeah. So, again, I run a pretty good store. So, feel free to hit me up, everybody, if you're looking for stuff or just buy from me. Links down in the description down below. Means a lot, and I got everybody covered on that front. And if you're not looking for anything, that's cool too. YouTube's free, so you have no excuse not to subscribe to my channel. It's free. It's not going to cost you a penny. It means a lot. It means a lot to me. More than you can imagine. And then watch my content too. Just don't subscribe. Actually watch it and like it and heart it and share it because that also helps tremendously. Because only real fans do that. No, I'm not one of those guys. I hate those posts. They drive me crazy on Facebook. But anyway, that's everything that I got going on. Again, it's all down below. And on that note, I'm going to give you the final word.
Yes, guys. Just gonna say thank you. I just want to express my gratitude. Right, like this has been a long journey. I just want to thank you to everybody that's helped get me here, anybody that's helped support the project before it went live, everybody that's helped and turned out in this first week. This is only day 8 we're on, and we've already made quite the impact. This is my dream project. This is me kind of like putting myself on a page, and I hope that you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys get as much out of it as like this last week's got given to me. It's been wonderful, and I'm grateful and glad and excited, and I hope you join us.
I don't think I could have said that any better myself, buddy, and that is a wrap.